You Christina?
Yes.
Okay, Christina, do me a favor. Can you step out of the car for me? I know you're confused. I'll explain everything to you.
Is she going somewhere? Or?
Yeah, we're going to explain everything to you guys. We do have an investigation going on. We have to talk to you about it at the police department, okay? I don't know the full details. We do have to bring you there, though, okay? So I do have to put you in handcuffs and bring you to the police department. Just a down
Handcuffs?
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
I'm like willing to go with you.
I get it, yeah. Unfortunately, we have to do it that way. Once you get to the police department, you'll talk to the detective and he'll explain everything to you.
The case of Christina Formella, a 30-year-old special education teacher and soccer coach at Downers Grove South High School in Illinois, stands accused of a 15-year-old male student during what should have been just an ordinary tutoring session. This is a story not just about blurred boundaries, it's about misplaced power and also the absolutely devastating consequences of an adult exploiting a child under their care, somebody they should be able to trust. Christina Formella wasn't just any ordinary teacher. She was actually somebody who stood out for all the right reasons at school. She was really well liked. She was actively involved in school sports. She was considered by colleagues to be really passionate, really engaging. She actually worked as a special education teacher, which means that she was working with children with more vulnerabilities than average, which makes this case even more disturbing. She actually served as a soccer coach. This means that she was placed literally in a position of both authority, but also emotional proximity to lots of students. Now, to the outside world, she had an absolutely promising career. She had a really stable life. She was married. She was respected. She was seen as a role model. But behind closed doors, prosecutors say that something deeply inappropriate was developing. In fact, it was a secret relationship that crossed every boundary in the book where ethics, professionalism, and legality are concerned. In December 2023, what was meant to be just this simple tutoring session between a teacher and a student turned into something far more disturbing and sinister. Christina Formella, bear in mind, 30 years old at this point, she is in a one-on-one session with a 15-year-old male student. Prosecutors allege that Formella at this point initiates an inappropriate and illegal relationship. Now, the is believed to have begun that day, but it didn't end that day. It continued for several months and is escalated from physical contact to what prosecutors describe as an emotionally manipulative and controlling dynamic. Now, it isn't until March 2025 that the case came to light, and the reason for this is the boy's mother was basically setting up a new phone for him, and at this point, to her horror, she discovers a string of explicit messages that included content such as "I love having sex with you" and "you make me feel safe," allegedly sent by 30-year-old Formella to this 15-year-old child. Now, the text revealed not only this really graphic content, but also the emotional manipulation, the jealousy that she showed, the affection that she showed, but also what clearly demonstrates itself to be grooming behaviour. Now, understandably, at this point, the mother is utterly horrified, so she confronts her son. And obviously, after some coaxing, he admits to the relationship, and then he tells her exactly what happened. Within hours, rightfully, the family go and report everything to the police, and this sets in motion the investigation that uncovers even more unsettling evidence. The Downers Grove Police Department, they launched an immediate investigation. This is joined by the DuPage County Children's Advocacy Centre. And on March 16, 2025, officers end up arresting Christina Formella during a traffic stop. Police body cam footage shows her in disbelief. She's just repeatedly asking officers what's happening and whether the arrest was real.
You Christina?
Yes.
Okay, Christina, do me a favor. Can you step out of the car for me? I know you're confused. I'll explain everything to you.
Is she going somewhere? Or?
Yeah, we're going to explain everything to you guys. We do have an investigation going on. We have to talk to you about it at the police department, okay? I don't know the full details. We do have to bring you there, though, okay? So I do have to put you in handcuffs and bring you to the police department. Just a down
Handcuffs?
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
I'm like willing to go with you.
I get it, yeah. Unfortunately, we have to do it that way. Once you get to the police department, you'll talk to the detective and he'll explain everything to you.
She was then charged with 2 counts of aggravated criminal and 1 count of criminal assault. As detectives dug deeper, they've uncovered more digital evidence. So they did a forensic review of Formella's phone, which revealed literally a memoir, which was stored in her notes app. And it's a document in which she basically vents anger and even heartbreak, referring to the student as disgusting, accusing this 15-year-old boy of cheating, and also having this expression of hope that he's going to come back and reconcile with her. Prosecutors argue, rightfully, that this shows that there is a disturbing emotional attachment to this child. Formella, of course, has a different story. She claims these notes were totally unrelated to the student and were just written as a coping mechanism for her anxiety. She further alleges that the student manipulated her phone and somehow managed to fabricate evidence to blackmail her. She's called him a stalker. She actually suggested that she was targeted because of how she looked and how much she cared about the students. So basically just saying, I can't help being really attractive to these students. I can't help being somebody that they want to be engaged and involved with. So literally taking no responsibility and accountability for what she's been accused of. Now, despite these claims, investigators have found the student's testimony absolutely compelling. They've corroborated text messages and also just the tone of her personal notes all align in a way that totally supports the prosecution's case. Now, Formella has, of course, pleaded not guilty, as we would expect her to do. She's actually been released on bond under the condition that she has no contact with the victim, with minors, or that she returns to the school premises. She's been placed on paid administrative leave by the district whilst it's been investigated, and her next court appearance is scheduled for the 17th of June 2025. This case has blown up. It has literally garnered so much national attention, not only because of all the disturbing allegations, but also because of the deeper conversations that it's telling us we need to have around trust power in schools. This is a story that is told time and time and time again. Now, as I've said, she pled not guilty to all the charges, and at her court appearance on April the 14th, 2025, I would say that she arrived in court in a really composed, almost defiant manner. Her hair was perfectly styled, her makeup was literally immaculate, and her husband, some would say unbelievably, was by her side. Michael Formella turned up in a supportive way. So she is in a scenario where he has not rejected her because of these allegations. In fact, he sat quietly in the courtroom. Apparently he was expressionless as the allegations against his wife were read out. And also in attendance, her father-in-law, Randy Formella, was present. And this kind of demonstrates the level of support that she has in her family, which is pretty breathtaking when you consider the charges that she's facing. It has been actually reported that during the investigation, Christina's claimed that her husband knew about the situation involving the student. Anyway, Michael has told detectives that's not true. He was unaware of any inappropriate relationship, and actually he only knew the boy as one of her soccer players. Now, that contradiction, surely that adds to the case's complexity. Surely that paints a picture of either complete deception or a deeper family dynamic at play that will be revealed at some point. Formella has, as I said, been released on bond under strict conditions, so no contact with the family, no interaction with minors, no presence at the school grounds. The school district is still paying her on administrative leave, pending the outcome of this case. And interestingly, the judge has ruled that no cameras are allowed in the courtroom. And I guess the reason for that is, if you think about the sensitivity of the allegations and just that absolute core need to protect the identity and well-being of the boy involved. Her next court case appearance is scheduled for June 17, 2025, with digital evidence mounting and also the public attention really intensifying. These proceedings are expected to test not just the legal system, but those boundaries of power that exist. The way that we feel that school should be a place that protects our children, and yet time and time again it fails to do so. The case of Christina Formella, it's still unfolding, but what we already know is there is this profound level of betrayal felt by those who've been impacted. A teacher isn't just a conveyor of knowledge. They're a mentor. They're meant to be a protector, and they're meant to be this constant soothing presence in a child's development, ideally. When that trust is broken, especially in such a horrendously personal, inappropriate way, then the emotional and psychological toll on the victim can literally be lifelong. So this isn't just a legal case. It's also that reminder to all of us out there that these lines can blur when accountability fails, when institutions don't notice the warning signs, when somebody uses their authority to fulfill personal desires, rather than just to do the job they're there to do, which is to protect, in this case, the vulnerable. Obviously, this case hasn't ended. What we have to hope is that justice will be served, and you hope that the victim will get their day in court and feel justified when the sentence is passed. But often we see these stories play out in very different ways where justice actually isn't served. And I suppose one of the things that really stays with you about this case is that when you consider the most vulnerable in our world, children, often it is in those spaces and places of vulnerability that these predators lurk. And that is something that we always need to be aware of, that these predators exist where the most vulnerable exist with them. And that's something we need to protect at all costs.